Hey, greetings, bold coaches. It's Steve Schleter. Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about this right here. We talked about this on the call, and it's that little quadrant that we teach. It's the pain and pleasure concept that starts off with positive present, negative, then goes to negative present, then negative future to avoid, and then positive future. So, as a former team leader, I thought I'd share with you some thoughts about a conversation you may have with your team leaders regarding using this concept when it comes to their recruiting appointments. So when they typically meet with a recruit, the recruit is often in the positive present. Remember, everybody wants to look good and be right. And because they desire to look good and be right, they tend to focus on what's best in their business. And so as the team leader works to get a rapport built with the associate, asking about their career, their family, how they got started in the business, what they do before real estate, some of the things that they can start to dig into here are as they discover more about the prospect, tell me about your business. What were your goals this past year? How'd you do relative to your goals? What's the one thing in your business that's not being done that if it were being done would dramatically change your business? All these questions starting to reveal the negative present. Asking questions about where did their business come from in the past year? What do they feel like are their strength zones with regard to lead generation? Are there some areas they're working to develop? Many, many questions. And we're looking to discover the negative present. One of the great questions that really works in this area is we start to build rapport. We've asked lots of questions about their life, their family, their business, and we get into where their business comes from, what their strength zone are, how many transactions you do, what was the makeup of where those transactions came from. I've mentioned that several times because it's really important to find out what are they good at, what's working, and then as we start to help them fill their gap, what are they already accustomed to doing, and maybe at least clues about areas that might be uncomfortable. Now, one question that helps reveal the negative present really clearly is this one. So we built a little rapport, there's a conversation going, and an example of a negative present question or revealing the negative present and calling it out might be something to the effect of, so let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, I thank you for being so open with me and sharing about your business. And I'm just curious right now, if you wouldn't mind sharing with me on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, frankly, you hate this business. If you could find something that paid okay, you'd quit tomorrow and go do that. 10 being real estate is completely fulfilling all your needs. You have complete joy in what you do. You have complete financial security. You get up every day with zest and joy for what you do, being a 10, and it's completely fulfilling every financial need that you need, or that you might have. Where would you rate your career satisfaction right now on a scale of 1 to 10? And let's say they say a 6 or they say a 7. Many of us are tempted to go into, well, so really, by the way, when they say it's a 6 or a 7, we think about where do we want to go next. What a lot of people do, they ask what would make it a 10. Well, they're jumping right over here to positive future, just what James Shaw said on the call. What a lot of team leaders have to do, tendency to do, is to skip this negative future to avoid, which we're going to talk about. So if they say it's a 6 or a 7, rather than jumping to what would make it a 10, we're going to say, so tell me why a 6 or why a 7? And then whatever they say, we say, what else makes it a 6? What else makes it a 7? Anything else? And let's say they say something like, well, it's just, I'm doing okay. I'm doing 6 million. I'd like to be doing more. The challenge is I'm putting in 60 hours a week. And I really don't have time for my family and kids. And I'd love to do more. And yet the idea of more hours just seems kind of crazy. And of course, you're going, ouch. And you say, well, tell me, working 60 hours a week, what kind of impact has that had on you and your family? Now, we're still in the negative present right now. Yes? And they begin to open up and they talk about that a little bit. And this is where we start to future pace them. We future pace them right into the negative future to avoid. And so we might ask questions. So we look at this next step of going from here to here. And that next step might sound like something like, so let me ask you this. If this doesn't change. I mean, there's a reason that we're here talking today. And if this doesn't change, if you keep working 60 hours a week, what impact is that ultimately going to have on you? And they say whatever they say. How's it affecting your family life? And by the way, if that keeps going this way, what do you feel's at stake? What's at stake for your kids? And by the way, it's all questions. There's no statements. There can be no statements in this, else it comes through as judgment. When they say it, it's real for them, and we're walking them right into that negative future to avoid, and all of a sudden, remember, we're getting an emotion, and people move away from pain, and so we're going to highlight the future pain, create a switch cost that something's got to happen, and then once we've got them in that pain, we say, well, then what's going to happen? Wow. And how do you think your kids are likely to feel about that if you keep missing the games? I mean, I get it. I know this is a crazy 24/7 tail wagging the dog business, and yet, if that keeps going, how do you think it's going to affect the kids? Whatever this, ouch. Sounds like something's got to change. Am I right? They're going, yeah, something's got to change. And this is when you start using your value proposition to move them from this negative future to void to move them to the positive future. And yet, where team leaders miss it many times is the willingness to stay here long enough to create some pain for them to be willing to move away from it. And then we're going to use our value proposition, our value tools, the things in our wall of value to get them moving. So I hope that helps. And if you can just, you can do it certainly in a much shorter explanation than I gave, and yet give them an example of, what it's going to sound like in the positive present. What would be a few questions that would reveal potentially the negative present, the 1 for 10 being a great one, and make sure that you communicate them the real point is not to move from here to here. It's got to run through this cycle to really be effective. And when you run from negative present or positive present to negative present and you future pace them, you have to walk them right into that negative future, and they have to say it, and you do it by asking questions. So trust that helps. Have a great one. See you, bowl coaches. Have a powerful week.